Well, for more analysis on the situation, we can speak now to Ariane Bogain, who is a senior lecturer in French politics at Northumbria University in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us. Good evening to you. We heard from the Prime Minister a little earlier on, lots of pledges he made. Do you think that's going to make any difference?
Not really. What we saw this afternoon is what we also saw on Friday, which is a kind of love fest, a declaration of love for farmers, some new measures announced, but it wasn't good. It is not enough for the vast majority of farmers who are in protest at the minute. But they also know that the government is currently negotiating with the trade unions. They met last night. They're meeting tonight again. There's the EU summit on Thursday. So it makes sense for them to carry on mobilizing in order to put pressure. And they showed last week that pressure paid, because they have already got some measures. But today, it wasn't really going to change anything, and it proves, because they want to carry on.
Yeah, I mean, they look pretty resolute and pretty united, don't they? There are no signs of cracks in their ranks, not that you're aware of.
No, I mean, we have to realize that farmers are represented by different trade unions. They don't have necessarily the same philosophy or the same aims. But in terms of mobilization, at the minute, it's united, and I think we'll have to wait the outcome of the negotiation that the government is doing, plus the outcome of the EU summit. So we might see something changing at the end of the week if they got enough to stop.
I mean, the farmers' grievances don't sound like they're particularly new. Why do you think this has all sort of come to a head now? What's your reading into the timing?
Yeah, I mean, it's these are issues that are long-standing, and they knew about the EU summit. There's obviously the big agricultural fair in February, which is a very big event in France. So it's a good win, and there is EU election as well. So it's a good window to really showcase their issues. But their issues is really about how to make a living. They are suffering from increased cost of production, prices that remain squeezed by the big agribusiness companies. They also have problem with cash flow. A lot of sectors have suffered, whether it's from disease or drought. And really, it's about the fear of the future, that the fear that they can't make a living out of farming. And so many farms have disappeared in France. Is that what's going to happen to them as well?
Yeah, I mean, we see the supermarkets singled out in quite a lot of newspaper articles here in France as well. I mean, what are the supermarkets alleged to have done or not done to make matters more difficult for the farmers?
Well, what they're doing is that they are in a position of strength compared to farmers. So in the yearly negotiation around price, they try to keep price as low as possible. So they squeeze the farmers as much as they can. And what farmers are complaining about is that there is a law, Egalim, that's supposed to take into account the cost of production. And what they are saying is that it's not respected. So that's why the government has said that this law is really going to be fully respected and fines are going to be giving out. But really, it's about the imbalance of power between the big agribusiness companies and retailers and individual farmers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story that's got newspaper headlines and TV crews from all around the world following it. Obviously, the Summer Olympics are, 6 months away now, and this is exactly the image the government does not want for the host city of the Summer Olympics. And these images, as I said, are travelling around the world. I mean, that must be part of the calculation. It could also be part of the government's will to get this over and done with as quickly as possible, and the offer they make maybe perhaps more generous than it would otherwise be, and perhaps it will come sooner. What do you think?
I think there are different parts in your question. So I'll start with the last point. Does the government want to get this over with because of the Olympics? I don't think so. I think all French governments have always been very wary of farmers, protest, and it comes from a historical memory of all the, in inverted comma, peasant revolts throughout French history. They know that farmers' protests can be disruptive, can be violent, and are supported as well by the public. So I think that's the main reason that no French government want to come up against farmers. When it comes to the image that France has with the Olympics, I mean, I'm going to be a bit facetious here, but if you look since 2018, yellow vests, pension reforms, riots last year, I mean, the image of France is that of a country where you have a lot of social movements and a lot of strikes. So I'm not convinced that this particular sectorial protest is really going to make the image worse.
All right. Well, let's see how long it carries on for. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your analysis. Ariane Bogain, Senior Lecturer in French Politics at Northumbria University. Thank you.